frame drawing or
Right.
something. I remember people going to manufacturers, and before they got their race bikes, they would weigh them because of paint weight. So there would be like a discrepancy in weight between frames. That was actually Toby did that.
Was it?
Who's like a proper puzzler. Like
Okay.
he's so into it, wants the
Yeah.
bike to be perfect.
Wow.
But yeah, there's I guess there's always like a massive difference.
Yeah. I was thinking before, so how long have you been testing bikes?
I guess like including my freelance stuff, probably, what year is it now? 2024. 17 years?
17 years
something
testing
like that.
bikes. So if you took a photo, well, if you looked at a bike from 17 years ago to a bike that you're going to go out and test now,
Yeah.
they're obviously drastically different.
Yeah.
So different. Have you noticed it, or is it just sort of incrementally kept changing?
Well, what's cool is you got brands like, I suppose Monraker were one of the first.
Yeah.
But you have, and then obviously Chris Porter's Geometron
Yeah.
brand. Like, those stood out, and that's why we were desperate to get on those bikes, because you were like, right, we want to ride the extremes. I was really lucky. So, God, going back, so like I said, I got to know Paul Walton, who was Fabian's mechanic, and then Stevie Bear introduced me to Fabian in maybe 05, something like that, and I kind of just stayed in touch with him. And so when he was at Mondraker and Cesar did the forward geometry stuff, I went out to Fenasosa Bike Park. Have you been there? Really cool.
No, I haven't actually. No.
Really cool place.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
And I rode the first, like it was a pretty rough and raw prototype forward geometry bike.
Okay.
So it was their trail bike. So it was 2 years before it came out.
So explain forward geometry. What's the overview?
So basically they were like, why do all the trail, like Cesar Rojo was like, why do all the trail bikes have 60, 70 mil stems? Let's just reduce the stem length, because originally it was 10 mil. They took it down to 10 mil and they put that extra length in the frame to increase the front center to make it a more stable bike. I think they maybe slackened the head angle a bit or kept it roughly the same, but the idea was increasing the front center, which is a super important measurement. Front and rear center is one of those things that people probably don't talk about or think about enough.
Okay.
Everyone's like angles, reach and all of that stuff, but it kind of, the rear and front center is what helps define where you're going to sit in the bike. So it's really important in terms of how you're weighting the wheels, which, you know, creating a balanced ride is key to making a bike feel comfy and stable and fast at speed.
So what you're saying is this bike is drastically different because it's longer and with a shorter stem. So there's two different characteristics that you'd be testing, as opposed to everything else just changing by like a degree.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And obviously Chris really got behind it, and Chris is very vocal and really helped push things along. And Fabian, obviously, you know, he was right up there at the top in World Cup racing for a long, long time. And, you know, if you've kind of got his seal of approval, and he is, alongside Nico, as, you know, ultimate tinkerer, a guy who, you know, who can tell a single click of low speed compression on one run, you know, that's the level of detail you're dealing with. So when those guys are kind of backing something like that, you has to pique your interest. You have to go, okay, what's in it?
Yeah.
So I went and read that, and then after that, the Geometron stuff. And so you could kind of see how far it could progress.
Right.
Whether it was too far.
Yeah.
What maybe needed to be
What were your initial
reined in.
impressions of riding that bike?
That bike, the 10 mil stem was pretty quirky.
Okay.
And it was like, in certain situations, like climbing and stuff, it would feel a little bit light and a little bit twitchy, but you could see the promise, you know, you could see the benefits. And then on the Geometron, which was another step, because that was a big bike. Yeah. Really big bike.
The early ones were mental, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, like
really as far as he could go.
Yeah, the smallest bike they did had a reach of 485 on the G16, which is massive.
Right.
When you think at the same time, I think I had a Yeti around then, an SB6, which had a reach of 425. So like huge discrepancy, massive. But it was that sort of like, well, this is what you could do, or you could kind of rein it in a bit, and maybe we'll just kind of get the best of both worlds. And it was sort of what they did. And you had brands like Specialized really scratching their heads and thinking, and, you know, they did all that work with the Stumpy Evo when they came out with that and they had a bit more adjustment. It was slammed,
It's
super
kind
low
of modern
bottom bracket.
day enduro bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like what the start of.
Yeah.
So you're saying that was a reaction to these extreme.
I think so. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it was. I think they were certainly like at the forefront of what could be done, and yes, there were some quirks and things that maybe not everyone would be into, and it looked a bit different. It rode a bit different, but the reality was, you got a lot out of riding it downhill.
Okay.
And you were like, God, this feels safe. It feels a safer place to be, safer bike to ride.
Yeah.
And you think about all the stuff Chris did around fork offset. He was doing crazy stuff. Switching out upper fork, CSUs for like the 26-inch version to get shorter offsets because you could see the promise in that.
Okay.
And weirdly, actually, on a separate trip out to see Nico, we were in the back of his van and he's got loads of different CSUs around and he was already doing it too.
Oh, really?
But just not making any noise about it.
Okay.
It's just, that dude is like, at the back of his van, he's there, he can like recharge shocks like with a nitrogen tank in there. You're like, oh my God. I did actually, on a ride with him, he was like, I'll ride my bike. And I was like, okay. And we were doing it for some photos and he was coming into this, it's a really high speed like rock garden when you had to basically come in, jump and transfer line to line. Otherwise you kind of just hit this big rock on the way out. And it's pretty sketchy. He kind of did it. And you're like, okay, yeah, fine, sure. 10-time world champ. Of course there's no problem. And then I go to do it and the photographer's like, yeah, go, drop in. And going in and I can just see this head like peeking out from behind the rock. And it's Nico. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? I'm out of control. I don't want to hit you. And he's like, I'm just looking to see how the bike's behaving as you go through the rocks. He wants to see exactly how the rear end from a certain angle. So it meant I was like brushing past his ear and he wouldn't move, wouldn't flinch, just so he could see, exactly what the bike was doing. If it was deflecting or what. You're like, dude, that is like next level.
Yeah.
He's a dude.
That's
but it's
cool.
people like him, Fabian, Chris, all of those guys. And a lot of the big brands get loads of stick for being these big corporations just churning out bikes. But the reality is, yeah, sure, there's a few business people, well, there's, depending on the brand. People in suits who are keen to make money.
Yeah.
Fine. Everyone else is just super into it.
Right, yeah.
All the engineers, everyone's in it for the same reason, just like us. Just looking for excuses to ride bikes. And you meet those guys. They're so genuine, so desperate to just build better bikes. They're not there going, we just want to sell more bikes and make more money.
Yeah.
They're like, as long as I keep my job and I get to ride a bit and I get to make cool bikes, that's what I'm in it for. And that's what I think gets forgotten with all of this stuff. I'm sure, focus.
It's probably got forgotten over the last few years as
Yeah,
well. As
totally.
People just criticise
Yeah.
bike brands and,
But that's the thing. And there's that sort of like, the people that are so into it are the ones that drive that innovation. And that's where you see all those cool bikes coming out and seeing what other brands are doing who are brave and going out there and kind of, just taking a risk. They're the ones that are like forging forwards and the other ones are going, actually, yeah, there's something in there. Let's try something. It's really cool. Yeah. And that's where, so yeah, there was a progression, but there was also a big jump at that one point from where we were to kind of where we were going to go.
So there's like a massive leap and then everyone else just sort
with
of
just
follows.
a few brands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And then I'd get on a couple of newer bikes and then I can't remember what it was, but I jumped on a bike that was maybe 2 years old. But at that point, at that sort of critical point where everything was going crazy and then you're riding around going, oh my God, the bottom bracket's like 6 foot high. The front wheel feels like it's going to like fold behind me at any minute. And you just realize how good and safe the bikes are now.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I'm quite resistant to change. I am, and I think it's some dirt jump thing. I don't know. Just because dirt jump bikes just stay the same and it's still as good as it always was.
Right.
But that's not to say that everything else can't move on and really make a big difference. And I always feel resistant to like. It's funny. I don't know why I have that reaction, but I remember anyway. Yeah. Going from 27 to 29 and just being like, oh, they're making me ride 29. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
It was like that. It was like everyone's annoyed. They've got like a shed full of tyres now they can't use. It seems stupid now, but it was a mission.
But it's true though. At that point,
yeah,
especially in that, it's a fickle world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is that sort of like, okay, is it a trend?
Yeah, you just
is
feel
it
like
going to
you're being a
stay?
chump, don't you? You don't want to be led down some path.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
Like,
And at
now
that point,
biking's less fun.
yeah, and at that point, there was only like, you know, when there was the big 29er thing, there was only a few bikes that were kind of doing it well.
Yeah. And there were no tyres. There were no
Right.
good tyres. There were no, like, there was so many things that, but if I go now on my old bike, it feels insane. It feels like unsafe.
Ride this.
It's like riding a roller skate.
Yeah, which I
Yeah.
never thought I'd say. I never thought
Because
I'd
at
be
that
like,
point, you felt safe, you could go super fast. And
Yeah.
It is interesting just to go back slightly, but like visiting Focus and seeing, like you say, the people are
Yeah.
so energized by it, and they're puzzling, they're studying, they're changing things. They're
Real bike riders.
real bike riders.
Hardcore.
They are the people that make
Yeah.
the brand what it is. You know what I mean?
But that's the same everywhere, right? That's the same.
Yeah.
Like we get caught, you know,
Yeah.
MUK is the biggest selling magazine. Therefore, they're like, it must be a huge corporation behind it. No one cares. It's soulless. It's all of these things.
Yeah.
The reality is, it's a tiny team
Yeah.
that are super
Just
into
love
it.
biking.
No one's going to be a millionaire. Like
Yeah.
guaranteed. No one's going to make a lot of money off the back of it. But everyone loves it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so nice about the entire industry. There's no bad people.
No.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting hearing you. Yeah, that's really good. I'm still thinking about how it's interesting you talking about your like no bias, and I'm imagining it as like blind testing. Obviously, isn't possible because you would crash. But what you're trying to achieve
It's been
is essentially
suggested.
that.
Have you done anything where you've covered a bike up? Like if you, for example, took a range of bikes and just gaffer taped the logos up, for example, and just rode them and gone,
No, but we have got an idea. We are going to do something similar for a video.
yeah.
Hey man, what an episode that was! You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
I shone like a Focus spring deal.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
beautiful
good.
transition.
Right, I've got a question for you, David, to kick this final advert off.
yeah.
What would you do with up to 400 euros
Yeah.
if you got it back when buying a bike?
Ooh, I could stay in the bike shop and spend my 400 euros on accessories.
Good point. Support your local bike shop. Great point.
I could take the 400 euros and go to another shop close by, maybe buy 400 euros of pasta, maybe go to the Euro
Fuels your
store,
ride.
get 400 euros and just, that's Christmas done for eternity. Just
True.
keep handing them out every
Lottery
year.
tickets,
Yeah, beans,
tyres,
a
chamois cream,
new pet.
a new pet, perhaps a water dragon or an iguana. Lovely idea. Well, Focus are actually making that question a reality.
Nice.
Because with the Focus spring deals, you can grab up to 400 euros back when buying a new bike. If you want to find out more, check out the terms and conditions and all of the details in the link. We're going to put that below, and I'm also going to read it out.
Please.
Okay, you ready for me to read it out?
Yes, I'm
This is old school, innit? Reading out links.
Yeah, anticipation.
I'm going
is
to do
high.
it anyway.
Please do
I'm
it.
doing it.
I want the deal.
ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC.
Ooh, nice. So that is ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC. And let us know in the comments what you would do with 400 euros. Best answer wins a signed ODub hat.
Oh, I like it. Good.
All
I've
right.
got hats. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good
Okay,
for that.
okay.
Hey, can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah, love
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love
Yeah.
on your face.
On my face.
Yeah.
So
And
they
on
can't
my
see me now.
gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.